Good morning. I thought I would make a video for generally just transport in Italy, how to get around. And this is slightly more complicated or more involved than some other videos that I've seen on YouTube, which are basically for tourists that are just going from Rome to Venice or something like that. This is more, this does cover that, but it also is about getting around in smaller towns. So here we go. First of all, the train. Getting your ticket. There are two options. You can go to a ticket machine or you can go to a window. A lot of times in the smaller ones, they'll have ticket machines, but they'll be broken or something. They're getting better. They are getting better, but just go with what you can. In the past, they didn't have ones with, I think they didn't have ones with English, or the really old ones are a bit harder to work, but they're getting new ones. Most of the train stations, at least in the north, have the new ones, which are a lot easier, faster to use. And they all have English, German, Spanish, Portuguese, and Italian on them. So that's good. It saves you a lot of trouble if your Italian is not great. But if you have to go to the window, just learn a few words. I'll give you a few as we go along, but learn a few words if you don't know Italian yet, or if you're learning. Do the best you can. Try to get through it because most adults in this country do not have level 1 or 2 English, because the standard here for English is not very high. So they think level 1 or 2 is just good enough because they can do what they need to at work, basically, which is tell you train to or something, as though you understand what that means. So, anyways, um, I really advise getting your ticket beforehand because if you just show up to the station and then have to deal with it, you never know what's going to happen in Italy. So just get your ticket before you have to go anywhere. It just makes it so much easier. Expect it to be difficult, expect it to be whatever, especially if you've never done it before, because it's going to take a while to be like, what am I doing? Where am I at? So just get it beforehand, because you don't want to be rushed at the last minute and in some line behind the guy that just wants to chat with the lady, right? Okay. Stamping your ticket. You have to stamp your ticket. There is nothing anywhere that says stamp your ticket. Well, let me see. Um, no, there's nothing on here that says the ticket has to be stamped. Maybe on the back in Italian it says something, but I don't see anything here. Oh, there's a really tiny thing that says something in Italian and German. So, if you only speak English, you're going to be kind of screwed. Basically, this is a small ticket for a train station. Sometimes they're coming out with these now, which I really like. Normally they're big. Normally they're like this big, which is really kind of a hassle to carry around. But anyways, you'll see that there's this space here, this white space on the ticket. So you just stick it into the machine. The machines used to be yellow, and they used to be really easy to see because they're yellow. But they're changing the colors now. They're changing them to like green, gray, and maybe a little bit of red. So you basically just need to look near the stairs that go up to the tracks. There should be boxes on the wall. And it should, yeah, well, it will be in Italian. So if you don't speak Italian, you're kind of screwed. But basically, just try to watch other people. Stick your ticket in the machine. Get a little stamp that has the date and the time and everything on it. Because otherwise, it's just the same as not having a ticket, if you don't stamp your ticket, because the tickets can last for, this ticket was bought in December, but I could still use it last December, almost a year ago, but I could still use it because they go by the time on the thing. So, and sometimes they don't always work that way. This is a regional thing. So, usually they'll have like a 2 week time limit or something. So if you don't stamp it, they don't know if you've ridden the train like 5 times on that thing. So you have to stamp it. It's the same as not getting a ticket if you don't. But if you forget to stamp it and you get caught, which you won't always do because they don't always check the tickets, but if you do get caught, remember that in Italy, desperation and begging go a really long way. Like in America, if you get in trouble and you don't follow the rules, you're not expecting somebody to give you any leniency because they're not going to. In Italy, if you beg and you act really desperate, they will feel sorry for you. So it's completely different. And if you feel desperate, just act desperate. Like if you cry, they will probably let you go if you're that upset about it because they'll think you're really upset. It's not that big of a deal, and they're not. Like if there's a rule, it can always be broken. It can always be sort of gotten over or whatever. Especially if somebody feels like they're doing it out of mercy. Like that is the best thing for Italians if they're giving you mercy to somebody who really obviously needs it. So if you feel desperate, act desperate. Um, Finding your train. Okay. In the big stations, there are electronic timetables that say everything, and it's a little bit easier. If you're in a small town, we're going to sorry, if you're in a small town, basically, sometimes they'll have like a TV screen, and you can look on there, but it's just a lot easier because that will only show the train that's just coming right now. But you can always look. There's these posters on the wall that are in glass cases. The white one is for arrivals, so unless you're here for a while, you're probably not going to need that one. The yellow one is for departures. So if you look on your yellow timetable, um, just check. It goes by times, 24-hour clock. So don't be confused about that. And check. It will have your departure times. So go by the time. Just look for the time, and then it will say the train, and it will say all the stops on that train and which order they go in. And then there will be a blue circle right next to it, next to like little paragraph of stopping places, and it will tell you basically the track that you're supposed to be on. And then you look up, and by all the tracks, there should be, actually it depends. Now they're changing to electronic, but in the older stations, they're all blue. The little numbers are blue with circles. So you just look on there, get your track, and then go to your track. Um, Be sure that your stop is on the list. Check, check, check everything. Um, Sometimes the timetables are wrong, especially if you're in small towns. It has happened to me before, so don't depend completely on timetables, especially if it's late at night. That the only problems I've ever had were late at night. If you find yourself at a train station and you're the only person there, and your train is like 5 minutes late, 10 minutes late, you really need to start thinking, hey, maybe the train isn't coming. In which case, you might have to go talk to somebody, which and almost definitely means that you're going to have to speak Italian. So just get some phrases for that. If you need some, I can put some down at the bottom. But anyways, um, if you're in a hurry and you don't have time to check all this or be sure about which train you're going to, just run up to the platform, and when the train gets there, or if you're just sitting around and like, oh well, but if you're in a hurry, the train's coming basically. So if you're in a hurry, just ask somebody who's boarding, va a Lazio, va a Venezia, whatever your town is. Ask them which is basically like, is this going to Venice? So they almost everybody knows, unless you're surrounded by tourists. I mean, especially if you're in a small town or something, everybody's going to know the train schedules. Everybody's going to know where it's going, what is passing, because they write it all the time. So just ask somebody if it goes there. Almost every time that you ask somebody, they know. So, okay, finding your seat. In the intercity trains and the Eurostar trains, there are seat assignments. And you can see on that yellow timetable, it will have little markings by each train time. I'm not sure what the Eurostar is because we don't even have it here. So I've never even been on a Eurostar train. There wasn't even one in the other town that we lived in. So never been on one of those. I guess the marking would probably be ES. The marking for intercity is IC. And the regional trains will be marked with like a weird kind of R, but an R. Anyways, let me see. So the intercity and the Eurostar trains have seat assignments, so be sure, and carriage numbers that you have to be in. So be sure to check your ticket for where you're supposed to be sitting. Go to your seat, otherwise there's going to be problems. The regional trains are cheaper and they're more common. So if you are not in a real hurry, I would really take those, especially if you don't like crowded trains. Take a regional train, because unless you're at a city, unless you're inside the city, there's not going to be that many people on the train. There should be plenty of space, especially if you're just going from small town to small town. There's definitely going to be space on the train. And Oh, with regional trains, first and second class are not that different. So if you're going from town to town, I'm not sure if you're going from cities. I imagine it's a little bit busier, so maybe first class is better because there's more space. There's more, you get to choose where you sit more. But if I'm on a long trip, there's no point in getting a first class and a second class, because in first class they just have bigger seats, but they're not even that, they're basically the same seats, just a tiny bit larger. And so there might be a little bit more space, but when nobody's on the train, what difference does it make? So, anyways, there's not that much difference on the regional train. So just go for second class if you're not that bothered. Okay, getting off. When you want to get off the train, every time they stop, they have this little bada 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 bada, which you of course don't understand unless you speak Italian. What they're saying is, "Siamo in arrivo a da the town name," and then unfortunately, then they have it in English, and I don't know what it says, something like "we're arriving in." But then they have this like English, but then they put the Italian one back on to say the town name, of course, because they're not going to say their own town names in English style, right? Which is totally unhelpful. I don't know why they even bother putting in English, because unless you know Italian, you're not going to know what they're saying. So practice the town name that you're going to, or get an ear for Italian, I guess, if you want to be able to understand the announcements. Otherwise, just be on the lookout for big blue signs at each station that have your town name on it. So that's how you know if you get stuck. Um, for cities that have more than one station, if you're just going to Genoa, you probably need to know the station that you're going to, obviously, because there's a lot more than just one station in Genoa or Milan or whatever. So know the station that you're going to. Um, Side note, if you live in Italy or are here for some time, there are travel cards. They're called abbonamentos. Well, abbonamenti, really. um, anyways, you can get these little travel cards that are cheaper. So you can get a discount if you're traveling every day for a week or for a month. That for doing that though, you have to go to the window and talk to the woman, etc. So you do need a little bit of Italian for that. Um, but it's not too difficult. If you just say, un abbonamento, she'll want to know for how long, and you can either say una settimana or un mese. Um, so that's really, I mean, really, if you're desperate and you don't have much Italian, that would probably be enough to get you an abbonamento. I mean, she'll tell you the price and stuff, but then if it gets really confusing, she could write that down. So, anyways, good luck getting the train. You can do it, and enjoy going from smaller towns, not just the cities. There are lots of things to see in Italy.